So we're going to be studying and looking at Daniel chapter 7. Now, any person got any thoughts compared to Daniel chapter 2, where Nebuchadnezzar had the dream, and he also saw 4 kingdoms. But what is the difference between what Nebuchadnezzar saw with the 4 kingdoms? And there was a bit more there than what is in Daniel chapter 7. Any thoughts as to why Daniel chapter 7 does not give you all the kind of details that was in Daniel chapter 2 with Nebuchadnezzar's dream? Because after the 4th kingdom, we saw, let's go there, I'll just quickly look at that, right? So here, I'll read from verse 36. This is the dream. Now we will tell the interpretation. This is Daniel chapter 2 and verse 36. This is the dream. Now we will tell the interpretation of it before the king. You, O king, are a king of kings, for God of heaven has given you a kingdom, power, strength, and glory. And wherever the children of men dwell, or the beasts of the field and the birds of the air, birds of the heaven, he has given them into your hand, and has made you ruler over them all. But you are the head of both. But after you shall arise another kingdom inferior to yours, then a third kingdom of bronze, which shall rule over all the earth. And the 4th kingdom shall be as strong as iron, inasmuch as iron breaks in pieces and shatters everything, and like iron that crushes, that kingdom will break in pieces and crush all the others. Okay? That's the 4th kingdom. Whereas you saw the feet and toes, partly of potter's clay and partly of iron. The kingdom shall be divided, yet the strength of the iron shall be in it, just as you saw the iron mixed with ceramic clay. And as the toes of the feet were partly of iron and partly of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly fragile. As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. In the days of these kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people. It shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. Inasmuch as you saw that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it broke in pieces the iron, the bronze, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great God has made known to the king what will come to pass after this. The dream is certain, and its interpretation sure. Okay? So there in chapter 2, with Nebuchadnezzar's dream, and here now, when we look at Daniel's dream, and I go from verse 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast. Okay? I'm going to the 4th beast here. The 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong. It had huge iron teeth. It was devouring, breaking in pieces, and trampling the residue with its feet. It was different from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up among them, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked out. From this particular time in Christian history. Anybody? Any thoughts? Who's supposed to be the head of the papacy? Like who? Where did they originate from? Who do they go back and say that we go all the way back to this apostle? Because God gave this apostle this authority, so they originated with this apostle. Anybody? Any thoughts? No, goes way before that. It's still in the time of the apostle, while the apostles were still alive. Who was the person that they go Huh?
Paul?
No. This is even before Paul. Peter. How do we know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, how do we know?
Yeah.
Okay, look. Matthew chapter 16. Okay, Matthew chapter 16. And I'll write in the context, we will see right in its context, okay? Matthew chapter 16. I'm going to read from verse 21. Matthew 16. From that time, Jesus began to show to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders, chief priests, and the scribes, and be killed and be raised the third day. Then, verse 22, that Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. He began to rebuke Jesus and saying, "Far be it from you, Lord, this shall not happen to you." But he turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan. You are an offense to me, for you are not mindful of the things of God, but of the things of men." So, if it was Peter, what did Jesus just say to him here? Look at verse 13. Okay? Here, let's go to verse 13. When Jesus came into the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, saying, "Who do men say that I, the Son of Man, am?" So they said, "Some say John the Baptist, some Elijah, and others Jeremiah, or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter answered and said, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Okay? This is Peter stating it. Jesus answered and said to him, pay particular attention to verse 17. Okay? Now this is where they go back. Here. Jesus answered and said to him, "Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven." Verse 18. And I say to you, to Peter, okay? So Jesus now is saying to Peter, "But I say to you that you are Peter." In the Greek, it is Petros, like a stone, a pebble, okay? And on this rock, is Jesus telling Peter, and I say to you, Peter, that you are Peter, and on this rock, on what rock? Peter. On Peter. Peter is the rock?
No.
But if you read and you don't understand this properly, the way it reads, it looks like Peter is the rock.
Yeah, right.
You see? But he's not, because his name does not mean a rock. His name means just a stone, a pebble. Okay? But here, if you don't understand this, you'll see this, okay? "I'll build my church." So what papacy has taken, it states in verse 18, "And I say to you that you are Peter." This is what the papacy says. "And that on Peter, the rock, God will build his church. And the gates of hell shall not prevail against Peter and the church." Peter built the church. It built on Peter, papacy said. Okay? So they go back and say Peter was the first pope, and from that time onwards, all subsequent popes can go back and trace its origin in Peter. But when Jesus said, look, that Jesus said, "And on this rock," which rock? Him.
Yeah.
It can't be Peter. Why? Proof. "And on this rock I will build my church." I will build my church on this rock, on Jesus Christ. He's telling Peter, this rock, I'm going to build my church. "And on this rock I'll build my church," and this portion, pay particular attention to this portion in verse 18. "And the gates of hell, or the gates of Hades, shall not prevail against it. Did Satan and his system ever took Jesus? No. That's the rock. How we know that Peter was not the rock? Because when the verse there clearly tells that the gates of hell, that Satan's system will not be able to get this rock, the person of Jesus Christ on whom the church is going to be built. How do we know? Go ahead, John, you've got something to say.
Well, Peter can't be the rock because he denied 3 times that he knew Jesus.
That's, go ahead, John, but that is later.
Yeah, okay.
The context. Right in the context, we're going to, the proof is right there in the pudding, dear ones. Any thoughts? Anybody? Go ahead, Dennis, because I just read it before I went to Peter as the rock. I read the problem that Peter is not the rock. Because the verse, the latter part of verse 18 clearly says, and the gates of hell, or Satan's system, is not going to be victorious over this rock. Okay? And that rock is the person of Jesus Christ. And everything throughout the Bible, we know that Satan never managed to get the person of Jesus Christ. John Mercer just said that Peter denied Jesus 3 times. Yes, but the context here proves that it cannot be the papacy. Go ahead, Denise.
Well, what did Peter say to Jesus and what did Jesus say to Peter?
Go ahead.
Right?
Yeah.
So Peter was trying to stop him from going to the cross. And Jesus said, "The Lord rebuke you, Satan." So Peter was doing Satan's work and trying to get Jesus from fulfilling what he came to do. And Jesus recognized that it was Satan speaking through Peter. And so he said, "The Lord rebuke you, Satan.
See?
Get thee behind me, Satan."
And verse 23 in the context. I mean, this is not going anywhere else. Like John said, okay, there, everything. But the context clearly shows that the gates of hell got Peter. Why? Because it says, and he turned, Jesus turned and said to Peter, "Get behind me, Satan."
Didn't say get
See?
Peter.
No,
Get behind me,
Satan. Because the gates of hell got Peter. Okay? So the church and the rock that the Christian church was built on was not Peter. It was on the person of Jesus Christ. Because Peter could not have been the person that Satan never got. Jesus here clearly tells him, "Get thee behind me, Satan." And we see why this is so important to cover. Pastor.
Here.
Yeah, I think.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, something that came up in my mind when we are reading that all nations, it says, sovereign power, all nations, men of every language worshipped him. And then it says, the verse says, his dominion is an everlasting dominion that will not pass away. And that we know that's referring to Jesus, and his kingdom is the one that will never be destroyed. We can see like Jesus came physically in this world, right? He came in a manger, he lived like us and everything. And this is Peter's one good example where he was coming to destroy, and to derail him. But we can see with Jesus, that was never destroyed. Till the cross, till the time he went to heaven. That's how I'm putting it.
Yes.
Like for us human beings, how many times we have compromised, how many times the truth, we have ran away from the truth, or maybe we didn't know the truth. Maybe we didn't know Jesus in the real way that he was meant for. Like look at us, like how many years ago we didn't understand, his love and the way God is. Because we look at Old Testament, we got deceived. We thought God's character is like this. So, not only the nation, if we look at, metaphorically, we can look at our own body as well. Like how many times Satan has destroyed his kingdom here. we deceive and we lie and daily. How many times we compromise? Maybe we didn't understand the word correctly, and word is God. But this doesn't change who God is. This does not destroy his character. This does not, change him. He is never destroyed. A good example is, the rate at which knowledge is like expanding today. At a fingertip, you can research anything. But the truth is the truth. Nothing can change who Jesus is.
Amen.
Scientists are still looking for so many things. I'll give you one example, is components of blood. He created blood already, right? And they are trying to figure out what other components are there. Similarly with air. They know, human beings need oxygen to live on, right? They know that. But, like other components of gas, they have never understood. So this is who he is. Like, even though we think we know, even though, like we think we have got it, but, when we go more into him, we try to learn about him, we see, okay, this is not he is, this is he is. So the impure and the purity, because we were so mixed. He's talking about the mix in the fourth stage and all this mixed and destroyed and everything. So I believe when we continue to seek him, we continue to run after him, we continue to prioritize him, he reveals more, because we are moving closer to him, and all the other things are being destroyed as well in our lives as well.
Amen. So here we back to Daniel chapter 7. Now when it says in verse 9 and onwards, okay, all the way down to the end of verse 14, from verse 9 to verse 14, Jesus goes to the Father, judgment starts. It's very clear. I don't want to go reading it all. Question. This judgment starts from when? Any thoughts? When does this judgment, Daniel sees that fourth horn, and then after the fourth horn, and he tells in verse 8, I was considering the horns, and there was another horn, a little one, coming up from among them, before whom three of the first horns were plucked out by the roots. And there in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking pompous words. Okay? So here, then in verse 9 and onwards, the judgment kicks in. Why does this judgment kick in from this time? And why in the whole dream, from Babylon all the way to this time, it doesn't talk in any sense about a judgment? Any thoughts? Why? Anybody? Why? This judgment started after Jesus' resurrection. Okay? So the judgment started after Jesus' resurrection. So can there be a judgment without Jesus first coming and teaching and revealing the truth? Can it? No. But the judgment still can happen on the basis of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, in that sense. But the truth that Jesus came and revealed after his resurrection, then his high priestly work, it's tied up with verses 9 to the books are open, judgment is in place. After Jesus' resurrection, after Jesus' ascension, when Jesus ascended to heaven, then the judgment began.
What are they judging? Who's being judged?
Very good question. Okay? So when Jesus goes up to heaven and the judgment starts, who are the people that are being judged? Anybody thinks? Thoughts? Particular emphasis in this judgment is people that have been exposed to the person of Jesus Christ. Because Jesus himself said, if I had not come and spoken to them, they would have had no sin. which means to say, if I had come and spoken to them, I cannot be judging them. Now that I have come and revealed the truth, now judgment starts. So that judgment applies to Christians first and then to everybody else. That's why Jesus is so central. So this whole issue here is involving the truth that Jesus taught. Okay? So then, in verse 25, this horn. And who is this horn? Anybody again? Go ahead, John, say it.
It's the papacy.
It's the papacy. This little horn, but it starts off as a little horn and then it will become huge, big. Okay? Starts off small and becomes huge. Verse 25. He shall, this system, the papacy, he shall speak pompous words against the Most High. Okay? He is going to speak evil, pompous, blasphemous words against the Most High, against God the Father. Okay? Now, he shall persecute the saints of the Most High. So what happens if you did not go along with what they taught, what they promoted? History proves it. I don't want to go into detail in all of that. History proves the amount of people that were murdered or martyred for not conforming to what they wanted. So it says, shall persecute the saints of the Most High, and this one, okay, this person, and shall intend to change times and law. Who's the person here that's going to change times and law? The Pope, the papacy. He's going to what? Change times and law. Now, so the papacy, and we're going to go through this and then go to chapter 8 next Sabbath, okay? So the papacy is going to do what? Change times and what? Law. Help me. What time is going to change times and law? What are the times and law that the papacy is going to change? Give me a minute, John. Just give me a minute. Anybody? Any thoughts? Anybody? Except for John right now. No, that's fine. I just want to see anybody else. Anybody? Any thoughts? What is the times and laws that this system or this belief system is going to change times and laws? Anybody? What are these times and laws? Where does it go back to? Okay, John, go ahead.
Well, this is just an idea. The calendar we use.
Pardon?
The calendar we used is called the Gregorian calendar.
Okay.
And that was developed by a Pope Gregory.
Okay.
And that's why we have the 12 months and the time of day change was changed from sunset to midnight.
Yes.
And also the Sabbath.
Yes. Go ahead. What? Go ahead. What?
Well, it's more like, times and laws.
Times and laws.
And they will eventually, there'll be a law that will say you have to worship on Sunday. That's coming. And because I know that there was a book here that we used to have in our literature, it says Sunday laws enforced or something like
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes. See when it says he's going to change times and laws. Okay? So it has to go right to the heart of what? God's 10 Commandments. That is the change of the times and the laws. It goes right to the heart of the 10 Commandments. Okay? So, question. Times and laws. Any thoughts in the 10 Commandments? Where did the papacy change the times and the law? Anybody? The times and the laws. Okay, I'll read you the 10 Commandments. First, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, okay? Exodus 20 and verse 1. And God spoke all these words, saying, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of the land of Egypt and out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods before me. Okay? Very clear. No other gods before me. Verse 4. You shall not make for yourselves a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them nor serve them, for I am the Lord your God, a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of those who hate me, and showing mercy to the thousands of those who love me and keep my commandments. Okay? So here, in verse 5 and 6, it's very clear, don't dare make what? Any statue. No statue. Don't make statues, right? The Catholic Church does what? Has statues. So they changed this one, right? Okay, so they changed this one, and do you know, they changed this commandment. It's clear here, but this is not anymore in the Catholic catechism or the Catholic doctrines, this commandment. They took this commandment, what? Out. This commandment is not there. So here, it's clear. They're keeping this commandment. I mean, they've removed this commandment. It's no longer there, which is one of the commandments. So if you've taken this one out, how did they make out to still have the 10 commandments? Any thoughts? Which one?
Fourth.
No, after, to cover, the fourth is still there. They still keep the fourth, but it's done differently. Which commandment to keep the 10? Because they got rid of this one, so this is no longer a commandment in them, but they went and took one of the commandments and made it into 2. Any thoughts? The last one, the 10th commandment, okay? You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is of your neighbor's. Okay? So what they did here, in this, they made the 2 commandments. They separated and they said, yeah, you don't covet your neighbor's house, but then here, the other portion, pardon me, you shall bear, no, where it is? You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. So what they did in the last commandments, they made it into 2. Don't covet your neighbor's house, and don't covet your neighbor's wife. So they made 2 to make sure they're still 10, when there was just 1 commandment. Okay? So, and what else did the papacy do? In connection with changing times and law. Go ahead, John, I think you had it.
Oh, they changed the Sabbath.
They changed the Sabbath. From the 4th commandment of the Sabbath, which is the what? Which day?
Saturday.
The 7th day, Saturday. Papacy, you can go back historically and check this out. It changed from Sabbath to what? To Sunday. See, so that is where in Daniel we get this important message that was given. That what he will end up doing is this is what he'll end up doing. And it's blasphemous what he does. He shall speak pompous words against God, against the Most High. He shall persecute the saints of the Most High. If you go back and look historically, all this has happened. And shall intend to change times and the law. So he did change the law. From the 7-day Sabbath to Sunday. This is one of the identifying marks in this. So when it says that judgment is set, that's why I'm saying that if you look at what God gave Daniel compared to what was given to Nebuchadnezzar, it is of huge significance here. How then, any thoughts? So let's say I don't know anything, and I am worshiping on Sunday. Okay? I'm worshiping on Sunday. I'm not worshiping on the 7-day Sabbath. According to what we know, when Jesus, remember, judgment starts? When the judgment starts, the judgment is not held against anyone unless what? Yeah. You see? The judgment does not affect you until what happens? Until you have been given that truth. What we are doing here in the Apostolic Church, okay? We worship on what day? Saturday. But we also have a ministry on part of us, right? Why? Very important. Don't misunderstand this. Why? Go ahead. See how important this is? We have been given what? The truth. How can you help these other people that are worshipping on Sunday without what? Without being there with them. Partaking of them. See? And helping them to come to the realization of this very important thing. Why the Sabbath? So there are almost 22, according to the latest statistics of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They claim to have about 25 million members worldwide. They're all Sabbath keepers. Okay? So they're all Sabbath keepers, but do they, Lord help me, do they know why the Sabbath was given? No, they don't. I'm serious, they don't. Why? Because what we are learning here, and we are going on to church on Sundays too, and helping people to come to understand why the Sabbath is so important. Because it involves what? The character of God. The agape love character of God is involved with the Sabbath. How we know? Because in creation week, no other time, in creation week, God purposely created that extra 7th day to always remember and never forget what? That I am the creator. And don't ever confuse me with the destroyer. That was the 7-day Sabbath given in creation week. And our job, our responsibility is to help all the people to come to understand this. Because this is when it says judgment was set for the end time. It's everything that Jesus taught. I'm going to close with this. If Jesus changed the Sabbath from the 7th day to the first day of the week, would he have done it before he died?
Yes.
Yes, he would have. If he was going to change it from the 7th day to the first day, he would have revealed it. He would have taught it. Why? Because that would have been his last will and testament. He would have said, look, I'm changing the Sabbath from Saturday to Sunday. Nowhere does he do that. And this is foundational for us to understand. That's why I'm saying that when we understand God's agape love, when we know that, then what we do is wherever people are, we'll go and help them to understand this agape love. And that what is this love based on? Okay? This is why it is so important for us that Daniel chapter 7 goes straight in after the fourth kingdom. It introduces the papacy and the judgment that is put into place. With that, can we close in prayer? Rebecca, thank you.
Lord, I pray that as we in this Bible study, I would really teach everyone to us. Thank you for giving us this time to learn about your word, God. I pray that you open up our hearts and minds and give us the wisdom to understand the lesson that is meant to be. Please, and I pray.
Amen. Thank you very much.